try your call again.
We on? Yes, we're on, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's
Yes,
have a party.
let's have a party. It is again Passing Me podcast, and this is us. We're doing this program, podcast, YouTube thing about Liverpool Football Club. And why not? Why shouldn't we do this? We're going to do this now. You're not going to stop us. That was the bubble styling. Yes, yeah.
I didn't say anything. Nothing.
We're not using any of the regalia. It's fine. We're not using the purple away kit.
No one's using the purple away
absolutely.
kit.
That was the vocal stylist, the All Saints booty call. Again, this is a reference to
Hulk's posterior.
Hulk's posterior. Yeah. That was weeks ago. Anyway, so there we are. That's some pop music. So this part of this separate podcast,
which we decided to call the Anfield Chat.
Anfield Chat, we're doing that. That'll never catch on. The Anfield Chat. We're going to talk about the future under FSG and the future under Brendan Rodgers, because I'm struck over and over again whenever I talk to you two and you to a certain extent, is whenever I hear about kind of behind the scenes decisions, which probably we can't talk about here, or emails that various folk have received, or people from the inside of something. I'm amazed at how actually you think, oh shit, they really don't know what they're doing. Sometimes over something like the Jen Chang thing, for example, is that you just think, oh God, this is like it's amateur time at this. Is that a perception, or are they because obviously they've run very successful sports franchises. I hate the word franchise, but that's what we are. Sports franchises in America. They must sort of know what they're doing, mustn't they? But if we finish wherever we finish, 7th or 8th or wherever we finish, or even 5th this year, how do they react to that? Do they put more money in? Are they looking for an exit? Do they get rid of Brendan Rodgers, etc., etc., etc.? Do they bring Rafa back, etc., etc., etc.? Who wants to start?
I think the first thing to say is that despite all the rumours, I think Fenway Sports Group are in for the long haul. Yeah. I get lied to for a living. People lie to me every day. It's like
that's before you leave your house.
It's but I honestly believe. I've sat and looked John Henry in the eye, and I believe him when he says he wants to be here for the long haul. There might be other people within Fenway Sports Group who don't, but he's got the control. And now, so I believe they're here for the long haul. Now, do I believe it'll be successful? That is another issue altogether.
I would agree with you, Tony. I think that John Henry supposedly getting out of the hedge fund business in the States, that he's looking to, instead of, he's looking to not diversify, he's looking to consolidate, and he's looking to make it just one or two streams of income. I always felt that the manner in which he came in, taking over from the Texan two-step, I always felt that was he portrayed himself as being the honourable type, and I actually believed him, and I know there's been an awful lot of criticism of Henry for not spending and whatnot, and people feel that he resembles more Randy Lerner than David Gill or than the boys at United. But I think he's in for the long haul, whether or not he has the money.
Well, he might have the money, and I was extremely critical of them at first, but then I come to the realisation that they have a plan, and I mightn't agree with the plan, but the plan's simple. It's not to throw a lot of money at it. It's to bring the kids through. It's to let the club pay for itself, and to try and develop. As I say, they think financial fair play will naturally elevate us to the best, and I disagree. But I stopped criticising them because then I realised they were never going to build a stadium. They were never going to throw loads of money at it. And it's not like the Gillette and Hicks who actually wanted to rip us off and make a huge amount of money. They're not bad people. They're just, their plan I don't agree with. And that means that I'm not going to be out protesting. And it's like, the time to criticise it is when the plan falls apart. Yeah. But like, they've got to have a chance to see if their plan comes through. The same way Brendan Rodgers, he's got to have a chance to see if he's going to develop.
But you see, I think part of the problem with FSG or NESV as they were then, it was a PR problem, is that they came out of the blocks, 50 million on Carroll, Jordan Henderson, Stuart Downing, spending stupid, silly money under Coylie. And I think, okay, there was always the chance that Downing might have continued this season, but if you look at Downing's numbers, that they were on the decline from previous seasons. Andy Carroll, well, we know what that was. That was Torres plus 15 million was basically what the Andy Carroll deal was. But it looked like they were going to spend silly money, and suddenly Liverpool and Liverpool fans, myself included, I think we're in sort of Arab money, and we weren't. That was a PR problem.
They come out in the situation, and they didn't want themselves to be seen as another Gillette and Hicks, selling on Torres. Now, confident, secure ownership would have gone, banked the Torres money and said, all right, we'll see where we are in the summer, and you could have picked up Andy Carroll for 15, 18, 19. But no,
if you wanted them.
But it was a political buy. Yeah. It was a political buy.
It was to make them look good.
It was to stop a fan base that were in uproar, had been in uproar for 3 or 4 years. It was to stop more of that. And in retrospect, it was stupid. Strong ownership would have done differently. Now, Henry admits that he's made loads of mistakes. He sits there and makes loads of mistakes. And you're like, well, all right, sort it out.
Yeah.
He can see what's wrong with the club. But he doesn't appear to be able to impose himself to change that, and that's because he's in the States and he's got other things going.
Tell us what's wrong and what I need to change then.
Well, okay, I'm going to help out here. Commercially, the club is probably doing better than it's ever done. Right now, I know from personal experience, from dealing with the club over many years on a commercial basis, there's a shambles. I don't mind saying that. Right, it's impossible to get anything done. It's impossible to find anybody that will make a decision. It's impossible for anybody. No one for years and years and years prior to John Henry, prior to Hicks and Gillette, no one at Liverpool Football Club is allowed to make a decision. Okay, you have people in positions of senior management that don't make decisions. Okay, and as for the examination and the furore that you mentioned to do with fans, it's because we've got to realise that this is a business at the end of the day. And if you open the doors of most businesses to a group of people that want to come in that are not owners or day-to-day running of the business, you will find massive things to criticise it in any business. The fact that there are millions of Liverpool fans around the world willing to criticise, I sort of agree with Tony. There is no point now in criticising. Wait and see what happens. But commercially, they would be reasonably pleased with the job that's doing, because we're raising good sponsorship, blah, 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 in comparison to everybody else. But there are still certain avenues of that business, retail-wise, marketing-wise, brand management-wise, where we're absolute shit in comparison to other clubs around the world. We do not use that brand that we've got, which is the one thing that Henry's got. We are the biggest brand in their portfolio. We don't use it well.
What I would say is that to a large extent, you look at the Standard Chartered deal. You look at the all these things that are happening.
The Warrior deal.
The Warrior deal, right. That is based on the Liverpool brand, which was established in the 70s and the 80s. Now, there is only so long that Liverpool can go without winning more titles. The brand is diminishing.
If you take Istanbul out of the equation, we don't have a brand.
Well, absolutely.
Here's the problem, is that all the business, all the branding that they talk about is built on success on the pitch. You go too long without that.
20 years ago.
You go too long with that, you're screwed. So what they need to do is try and get a focus back on that. But instead, it's like, we've got more Twitter followers in Indonesia than anyone else.
We have 9 million people follow us on our Facebook page. Who cares?
But it's like, are you converting that into money? And I don't care whether you convert it into money, because the only thing that will convert people and bring money into the club is you win trophies.
It's been at top of the league at the end of May. And the thing is that you're talking about, we got so many Twitter followers in Indonesia and so many Facebook followers. But anybody will tell you that Twitter followers or Facebook likes is not the marketing, the metrics that you use in social media.
And here's one of the problems that we have in football in general now. It's like the popification of it, if you like. And the thing is, people will follow people who are successful, like they do with bands who are number one, and when they stop being number one, they'll move on to another band. And they're starting to do that with football. Now, what you got to recognise about Liverpool is something deeper, and all of us sitting around this table believe it's part of our components of our personality, it's part of our culture, it's part of our belief. These people that they're chasing don't have that. It's like they might tweet, Liverpool fan for life till I die. But you know what? 2-3 years on, there'll be a Man City fan if Man City are winning.
I'll give you a prime example. We played away at Arsenal, and we had a fantastic performance. I've not seen this at any other ground. It is the most beautiful stadium I've been to. The whole experience was wonderful.
Emirates?
Yeah. And they boo their own fans boo their team off the pitch. Now, I've not experienced that in the UK before. Yeah, I've been to the San Siro. I've been to, it happens. It's a regular, common occurrence. But as you said, Tony, that creeps in when you're not dyed and true and blooded. You just, when you're a casual supporter or you're a turn-up supporter and you've not got that belief or that love of that club in your heart.
You get that every other week.
Exactly. But
Tony, I would take issue with you there. You're saying that Liverpool is part of our DNA. All of us sitting here around the table. That's who we are. That's where we come from. I absolutely agree with you on that. The difference is that you're talking about chasing the casual supporters. That's what they have to do, because the truth is that without the success, we're a dying breed. We're all getting older. I can remember the last time Liverpool won the league. I think everybody around you. But you take a look at Gareth Bale. Gareth, I know we've had a discussion off before the air, but Gareth Bale was born in 1989. He's never known Liverpool to win the league. Okay, and now that's just somebody picked out of the air, but he's 23 years of age. So we're the dying breed. So they have to chase, and the metrics have changed over the years.
But if they chase that, it won't stay. It won't be long standing. What they need to do
is to win.
They need to win, but also foster the sense of belief and culture. What we've got is something that no one else has got. We've got a set of fans who are, I hate this word and we keep using it, are branding themselves. People want to be part of the cop. The whole. We invented football culture. We can argue.
After a fashion.
It's but we've got that which no one else have. So try and exploit that, right? But you've got to win on the pitch. You stop winning, you're on your way down.
That's what I said. We're old. We're a dying breed.
All right, stop banging on about me being old, will you? For Christ's sake.
Well, you mentioned the Glazers, Tony, just now. Okay, let's look at Manchester United as a microcosm of that, about winning on the pitch. They lost the league by goal difference and just said, right, we need to win the league. Let's go and spend £24 million on a 29-season goal scorer.
Go back earlier than that for Man United. The thing is, we're 20 years behind them. The reality is, in 1987, they sent people over to see how the LA Raiders at the time were being run. And they looked at their market and the American market, and they come back, and all they got out of it was the black kit, because they saw all the gangbangers over there love to wear black. But they sold loads of black kits, and they've done that sort of thing all the time. They're way ahead of us.
They're eating our lunch on a consistent basis.
Well, in 1997, I worked with 1997-98. That season, I worked with an awful lot of football clubs in making merchandise for them. And I'll give you an example. Liverpool was outsourced to Granada, and then George Davis at Asda for the Sporter brand. It was terribly run. It was licensed out really badly. It was awfully run. Okay, I dealt with Arsenal, who were a joy to deal with. They had 2 people. A guy called John Hazel in their commercial department, lovely guy, 2 people. Then we dealt with Manchester United. There were 551 members of the Manchester United commercial division.
That's the difference.
And Arsenal and United were the top 2 teams in the country by some distance.
But that's the difference as well. So you take a look at United. Okay, nobody here around this table likes United, but you have to respect what United have done since the advent of when football, quote unquote, began with the Premier League. Yeah. Look what they've done.
But right across the board, the thing is, simple things like United have power and influence, but because they do things the right way, when they go to an away game, there's 4 or 5 directors there, and they're shaking hands, and they're really, Ferguson might be a prick, to everyone, but they're not. They're really nice to people. They go to.
They will Bobby into everybody, don't they? And he is a wonderful ambassador.
They go on the cup to a lower league team. They shake hands. They're generous when they win. They're even more generous when they get beat. Someone goes, "I love your youth system. Do you want to borrow a couple of people?" One of them, and they're really good at creating power. They've created this marketing machine which is single-minded and makes a load of money, and on the other side they've created a massive power base because they do it right. Yeah. And what have we done? We've done nothing. It's like tumbleweed.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't want to talk about Man United anymore. So let's look about on the pitch, and let's talk about Rodgers, and let's talk about if next year is like this year, when does the clock stop ticking? Will it, will they start getting itchy feet?
I'll go briefly and I'll start it off and everybody can go. For me, he's got 1 summer transfer window to prove himself as you're now looking at...
Yeah, but where do you go, though, if you get rid of him? Where do you go?
No, I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm just saying, for me, he's yet to have a proper summer, because we made a hash in the last summer transfer window, completely.
He made a hash.
Yeah, he made a hash. He's responsible.
Sorry, excuse me. Was that Rodgers or was that...
No, it was Rodgers. It was Rodgers, without a doubt. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was him with a royal screw up.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was the we can get.
Was that because I'm suddenly with a big club and I don't know how to handle it?
No, no. He tried to pull stunt Mourinho or Rafa pull, and it fell apart. And then he made the mistake of pointing the finger at the owners.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, I'd like to see what he does with this transfer window. But as for what happens next, over to you two guys.
How long do you give him? I mean, it's because it really becomes, you know, the snake eating its own tail. How long can Liverpool not afford to have success on the field? And you can go out and buy instantaneous success. FSG have said that they're not going to buy success, not after the Carl Suarez or the Carl Downing and Henderson fiascos. So they're not buying success. So therefore, they have to be in it for the long haul. And I think, to be honest with you, you've got to give a manager 3 seasons. I would have thought. You know, so there's this season. There's next season, and then there's the season after that. And if, you know, I mean, and that may sound painful to Liverpool fans, but I would
that's the reality.
I would expect Liverpool to be competing on the cup front next season. They're obviously not going to be in Europe.
Challenging for the top 4?
Nudging the top 4. They may make it. They may, you know, if the teams, if the quality isn't good. And the following season, they have to be Champions League. As to when they'll actually win the whole thing, well,
I think certainly he deserves another whole season after this one. I think then, you know, he's on a 3-year contract. Then you reassess and you see if you're going in the right direction. He's their man, and they swept away a lot of the club's tradition to bring him in. You know, they severed a link with the second most important man in Liverpool's history, which they need to get somehow back into the club, one way or another. You know, and they severed that link after he'd won a trophy. So they created this new way going forward. I'm not overly thrilled by it, but you know what? That's not Rodgers' fault. The fact that they weren't qualified to choose a manager for Liverpool Football Club is not Rodgers' fault, and we can't let him carry the camp for that.
No. Well, so what's the saying, Tony? You can only play the team put up in front of you.
Yeah. So
and also, it was the same as when you pick on I pick on Jordan Henderson. Jordan Henderson didn't set his price tag.
Yeah.
But we talked about when we got knocked out of the FA Cup, and I know how sort of embarrassing that was, and blah blah blah. But and then the stat was that's his longest as a manager. That's his longest run in the cup, and he's just like, oh right, okay, that's the context of what we're dealing with here as a manager now. You know,
I mean, he clearly come to Liverpool too early in his career, and it might be a really damaging move for him. Let's all hope not. You know, let's hope he grows into it. We've all said he's learning on the job. We can see him learning on the job, and those lessons are painful. But you know what? He deserves the chance. I personally don't believe he will be successful, but he deserves the chance to prove me wrong, and I'm not going to be overly critical of him because he's got to grow, he's got to learn.
Okay, let's give him next season. Okay, we give him the season after, as you say, Conor, and it's still going. So what happens then? What do you do then? I mean, we're literally back to year 0.
Okay, well you've got to say that. Okay, let's take that in context here, right? Yeah, I can see what you mean, but you're probably saying goodbye to Stephen at that point.
Oh, good.
He's probably gone.
He's probably gone.
Suarez is gone as well.
Okay, but you are looking at if you've managed to get, if you're nudging the top 5 or you're nudging the top 6, then you've kept the rest of that squad together. And your Coutinho's, your Sterling's, these guys are all Shelby's, your Hendersons. If you've kept it, I don't think Jordan will be there this summer, to be completely honest. Are all 2-3 years more experienced. They're all 2-3 years older. They're all a cohesive unit. Now, you take that back to the Fowler McManaman era team. That's what we hoped for. And by changing management structure, as we did so often during that team, we didn't keep it together. So that's one of the many things Liverpool have done wrong with the players they've brought through. It'll come down to, as you've said before, Tony, financial constraints and what's expected out of the team. Also, we do not know what FSG have set him as a target. Well, look how shocked we all were when as you said, when they did what they did to Kenny.
I don't think they've set him any targets. No. I think it's just.
I think it's not so much make it up as you go along. See how he does.
Yeah.
I think the thing that annoys me about Rodgers, and I disagree with you, Tony. I think he might make it, But what annoys me is that he needs somebody who speaks PR speak. You don't come along to Liverpool fans after you've lost 2-0 away.
Would you like to sign our petition to employ John Barnes as the PR man for the club?
You lose 2-0 away. Okay, Liverpool they battered them and should have won, but they didn't. They lost 2-0. You can't argue with the scoreboard. This is the best away performance. That's driving me nuts.
If I was doing the PR at Liverpool, the first thing I would do is I'd go into Brendan Rodgers and I'd say, shut the fuck up. Right? I don't want to hear any of this. I don't want to hear how great we are when we lose. You know what? Because it drives... And you know what? It's one of those things. All through this season, we've been told how well we're doing pass completion when you're losing and all that. You know what? I'm not just off the boat. The potato famine wasn't yesterday. I've seen this. I'm 52 years old. I've seen this club. Don't try and sell me something that I can see is not right.
Exactly.
And you know what? If he would make... I would buy into him a lot more if he was honest and didn't try and blag me.
Do you know what? The one thing I don't want to see him turn into is Owen Coyle, and he treads a very fine line between being Arsene Wenger and Owen Coyle for me at times, and both of those are aspects of people.
O'Leary, do you remember O'Leary?
Yeah, both of those are aspects of people I don't want to see.
It's a very young side.
What I was just saying to you offline there was that it was cringeworthy in the Huffington Post. Who said it? David Brent from The Office or Brendan Rodgers? And there were some of those you'd have to say, and it shouldn't be.
You're absolutely right. I mean, his ego runs rampant at times, doesn't it? At times,
I wonder whether it is ego, or I wonder whether it's like defensiveness. I wonder whether it's a bit of insecurity.
I think it's insecurity. Because I don't think it's ego.
You've said that in the past. You think he's so easily influenced by the media.
I think he is completely. And you know what? I think he sits there and watches footage of Shankly. He watches footage of Dalglish, and he'll go, right, this is how I should conduct myself. Rather than being his own man, he'll go, right, this is how I should conduct myself. This is how I should, and he's so. That's more than anything else. That's why he needs a PR man.
That's why I said to you last week. He's just 40 years old, right? And I said to you last week, he's an amalgam of all the people he's worked with and the people he's influenced by. I don't think you've yet seen Brendan Rodgers. I think we see a bit of the guy that worked with Jose Mourinho, a bit of the person that's read a book by Shankly,
I think what we need to see him develop a distinct character of his own. And not one that appears to be a David Brent parody.
And the other thing I will say too is that we all around this table watch Being Liverpool. Is there anybody here who thought at any moment that Rodgers wasn't playing to the camera? He was playing to the camera.
Of course he was.
Every single shot. Now, if that had been Dalglish, difficult to say because we're in hyperbole or in hypotheticals now. But Rodgers knew the camera was on him the whole time, and it was like he was auditioning for his Oscar.
But
whereas
FSG
I think
would have told him to be aware of the camera. FSG would have told him to
play.
Whereas Kenny would have gone fuck off.
You don't have to play to it, Ian. That's my point.
But Kenny would have told him to fuck off, wouldn't he?
I was waiting for him to start doing this.
Now, the worst one for me was the home. Forget the portrait. I can live with the portrait. But the actual performance of this is my daughter and she's going out with my assistant manager. I don't care. I don't want to know. That's not what
We've all got portraits of ourselves up in the house.
Actually, Tony, I've got one of you.
I'm naked on mine.
Right, let's round this up then, gentlemen. Thank you very much for essentially we're all saying the same thing. We're all.
So why did you do Tony Mead for all the same thing?
Well, we are though. I mean, we are essentially saying we're back in, we're behind it, we're open for the best. But it's none of us are completely convinced by any of it. As I say, I keep saying, 2 games away from disaster, 2 games away from positivity, the whole time. But thank you very much for turning up in the virtual world, gentlemen, and let's have you back again soon.
It disturbs me that we've wore the same clothes for 3 nights in a row.
Well, I've been there many times.
And sat in the same places.
I mean, luckily they can't smell us. Thank God the virtual world has not progressed that far yet.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Cheers.